We know what you've come for, and now we're going to give it to you. You're listening to the No Such Thing podcast.
Hey, so this is Jesus Payan. Thanks for coming on the show, Jesus.
Thank you for having me.
So, I've done an intro for you. So we've got all of the. I know you've got an extensive background in movie and music, and you've got a lot of stuff going on. So, I had to do an intro to address all of that because, we want to talk about Bigfoot, and
Right.
That's your main focus right now, right?
Right. That's why I just tried to give you a bunch of everything. You could pick and choose whatever you wanted to use,
Well, now you're down in New Mexico, right?
Yes.
What did you call it? The land of enchantment?
Yeah, that's the state motto, Land of Enchantment.
Oh,
but to some other...
that's
Go ahead.
that's the actual state motto.
Yep.
It is beautiful. I love that whole area. I love high desert, and being from Ireland, we just have like green and damp and clouds, but that's the total opposite of what I grew up with. I think you're very fortunate to be living in a place like that.
Oh yeah, I remember living in Europe.
That's right. I saw in your bio, and I alluded to that. And you lived in England as well, and you lived near Rendlesham Forest.
Yep, I was in Lakenheath. Was where our house was, but my dad worked on the base, Bentwaters.
So your dad was in the military?
Yeah, he was Air Force.
Air Force. Now, so what got you interested in this whole Bigfoot thing?
Well, originally, like I said, when I was 5 years old, 4, 5, 6 in that world, my mom bought me a book because we went to, Scotland and went to the Loch to hunt for Nessie for 2 weeks. She bought me a book called Mysterious World by Arthur C. Clarke. And inside that book, besides, the Loch Ness Monster and UFOs, was a section on Bigfoot. And that's when I first got interested in Bigfoot.
Yeah. Everybody across the pond, Loch Ness Monster is one of probably the biggest and most well-known cryptid. Now, I don't believe in the Loch Ness Monster personally, but you might have a different opinion, but that's one of there's many cryptids, and Bigfoot is probably the only, maybe Dogman, but now, do you believe in the Loch Ness Monster?
Well, the way I look at it is, while I was there for 2 weeks, I didn't see it or catch it.
Right.
So if there's a possibility, I can't say for sure, but I leave it open to you never know.
Well, this son of a bitch must be how many hundreds of years old? Because I've been seeing that thing since I was a kid. I'm 50, and I guess these things live for hundreds of years. But I mean, for me personally, I think it was a tourist thing. I don't know. We've got the same thing with Champ up here in Vermont. You've got the Champy.
Right. Old Champlain, yep.
Yeah,
Old Champ.
In Lake Champlain, my friend Alexander Petikoff has a whole documentary on that. Now, I don't know anything about that, but with the Loch Ness Monster, I mean, it at least raises people's passion about cryptids, And now, I'm from Ireland, as you know, and when I came to America, I never thought about Bigfoot. I'd heard about it. I thought it was one big creature, just walking about the woods,
right.
The abominable snowman, I thought it was just one big creature. But then when I come here and I speak to people like yourself and Mark from Livewire and Dave and Troy Hudson, and all these people, really credible people, and obviously not crazy. It's there's something going on out there. And you're from New Mexico. Dave's from Oklahoma. Other people are from Canada, and they're all saying the same shit, you know? It's like...
Right.
Well, the only people that think this is crazy are people that just haven't really looked into it. You know, that's...
Right.
At the end of the day, that's what it is. They're just not interested. They're not curious. They haven't really spent any time on it, and they've, you know, watched the networks. You know, the odd sighting will come on the networks, and they'll kind of, you know, laugh it off as a joke or something. But
right. Well, the way I look at it is just like with the Loch Ness Monster and Old Champ and Lake Ogopogo, and the thing is, a lot of people think that the Sasquatch or Bigfoot, there's the ones that haven't really looked into it, just, you know, watch, you know, catch episode of Finding Bigfoot, or just, you know, see the advertising or something. They think that there's literally just one Bigfoot. Just like, you know, a lot of people think there's just one Nessie. If Nessie or Champ are actual real physical creatures, then I don't think it's the same one. I think that, you know, they'd have to breed and have offspring. So we're not seeing, if, like I said, if that's real, we're seeing continual children growing up and dying, and, you know, over and over. So it's just like Bigfoot. You know, we're not seeing the same Bigfoot everywhere around the world. You know, him jumping around in an airplane, but there's actual, you know, groups of them. So that, if, like I said, there is an actual reality to, like, the Loch Ness Monster and all that, that's the situation, I think, versus just one of them being, you know, just living forever.
Oh, that's interesting. So now we'll go back and you've got your own YouTube channel, Breaking Bigfoot. Obviously, you were on Breaking Bad. You were Gonzo, and you died in a. Sorry for all the spoilers, but if you haven't seen it by now, it's on you. But I thought you blew up in the apartment. Remember the time that they do you remember the part where the guy in the wheelchair had that little clicker and he blew up?
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I thought that you were that guy, but it's been a while since I watched it. But you were the guy that had a really grisly death in the scrapyard.
Yep. Well, see, what the situation is my boss, Tuco.
Tuco, that's
he's my brother-in-law. He's married to my sister. So the old man in the wheelchair is his dad.
Oh, okay. So why did he want to kill him?
Well, it was just a big war with the drug deals and who's in charge and who's got more territory.
Right.
So it just the old man, you know, when he was younger, was running cartels, drug cartels. So no matter, he never left the business. He just got old, and so when you're trying to wipe out one of the cartel families to take over certain territories, you got to kill them all.
It's like Vikings. I'm watching Vikings at the minute, and it's so intertwined, all of the people and the relationships and stuff, and I thought Breaking Bad was very, very similar. You know, you've got to do what you've got to do sometimes, and sometimes people have to die, and sometimes people have to live. You know, when what's his name, the main actor there, Heisenberg, right? Heisenberg.
Yep.
Walked into the room and he saw Jesse's girlfriend having an overdose. He just let it happen. But it's the same thing happens in like shows like Vikings and stuff. They just have to do what has to be done, and it's very brutal.
Exactly. It's almost like a chess game, you know?
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing personal, but this guy has to die in order for this to happen. It's almost like American politics, almost, you know?
Right.
But it's very interesting. So I actually pre-recorded all of your accomplishments. So you're first and foremost an actor. That's your gig, and you're also a musician.
Yep. Well, before I was acting for almost 25 years, I was a bouncer, bodyguard, and I'm a former Federal Detention Officer. And so I did law enforcement and all that kind of stuff. And then I got into acting by chance, you could say.
So, and you're also, what else did you do? I've read.
I ran for president. I don't think I added that part, but I ran for president against Donald Trump in 2016.
Oh, you did?
Yep.
I didn't see that part. I don't think you let it out. That's crazy.
Yeah, I forgot that. I got lost in putting it all together. It took so much different things, you know.
So, what got you into Bigfoot, though? I mean, Bigfoot's like totally different than what all the other stuff you've done is like makes sense, but the Bigfoot thing doesn't really make sense. I mean,
well,
how did you get into
what,
that?
what happened? This is what happened. So, like I said, I always, growing up, because I was involved with, I was always seeing UFOs and ghosts and all this weird stuff throughout my life without a choice, you know? So I had always been interested in that world of the strange. And then, so Bigfoot was just, you know, amongst the different cryptozoology animals and legends that, you know, I knew about. But in 2000, see, my mom, she works for the forest department. And we moved up to the mountains and got a cabin. And at the evening, I heard a Bigfoot scream or call, however you want to call it. And it was just, it shut the whole forest up. Like no birds, no bugs. It just got quiet after it did that call. And it was me, my mom, my dad, my sister. We were all, you know, standing outside when it did it. And we were like, holy crap, what the heck was that?
What did it sound like?
The way I can describe it, besides actually trying to make the sound, would be imagine a very, very tall mountain with a road that goes straight down the mountain, no curves, and you're hauling butt in a car, and you slammed on your brakes, and you skid the whole way down. So it was like, but really long. I can't do it that long.
That's pretty good.
And,
That's like the Ohio howl.
yeah, so it was a, you know, like I said, a very long and loud sound. And because I know the mountains don't have any straight streets and nobody's skidding in their cars that long, it just was just like a sound I never heard. And I ran inside to the house and jumped on the internet and looked up Bigfoot, you know, calls and recordings. And sure enough, there was the exact same sound on one of the recordings. And I was like, holy crap, we just heard Bigfoot. So at that moment, I was just completely, like, I guess you could say, intrigued, and I don't know if you want to say obsessed, but being that my mom worked up there at the forest department, and my sister was a police officer in the town, they both, you know, both of the companies or departments would receive reports about Bigfoots, but because technically they don't exist, they can't investigate. So they would just tell me about the reports, and I would do the investigations myself. And that's how it got started. And that was 21 years ago.
Well, the sound that you're describing is like, it's almost like an air raid siren that people describe, right? That kind of thing?
Yeah. Yep. It's just a continuous tone. It was just one long tone. It didn't go. It was just one long. You know what I mean?
Wow, that. I was just, I don't know. So you've dedicated a whole channel to this, a YouTube channel called Breaking Bigfoot, and so I really respect your work because, like, you put stuff on there, and it's like you'll show something in the trees that you can't really make out, but you'll actually do some video editing to make it more, you know, easy to see. Yeah, exactly. And you'll outline stuff, and that's really helpful because a lot of people put shit on the internet here, and it's like, oh, there's you can see the Briar Ridge, and you can see. I'm like, no, you can't. It's like that's. You know, at least do some, you know, get some video editing skills and show me what you're talking about. Okay, they'll circle it, but that's about it. Now, but let's talk about the whole Bigfoot thing and how you actually, you know, I know you have an interest in Bigfoot, but What was your first Bigfoot experience?
Besides that first time hearing the Bigfoot, my first like Bigfoot experience where I was like involved with it would be finding tracks, by my house. But the first interaction was about 3 years later in 2003, where we had moved down the mountain and we're living at the base, right where the mountain becomes desert.
Right.
And we're about, I don't know, I'd say 15 minutes from the bottom of the mountain. And one night I was out UFO hunting, looking for, UFOs. We live in the middle of the desert. It's dark. You could see every star you could imagine. But on that night, it was just pitch black. There was no moon, and there's clouds out. So it was just dark. And we're standing out there on the gravel road that goes around our property, 5-acre property. And something walked up, like, I don't know, about 20 feet ahead of us, but we couldn't see it because it was dark, and whatever it was also dark. And but it was walking on 2 feet. It wasn't a four-legged sound. It made the exact same sound as we made when we walked on the gravel. And it started pacing back and forth on the gravel road, and it started going faster and faster, like it was building up courage to do something, And we were getting this real just heebie-jeebie feeling, like something bad was about to happen. We could feel aggression,
Yeah.
And I told my friend, I whispered to him, I was like, squat down, grab some rocks, because we didn't know what it was, and I wasn't thinking, Bigfoot, because I didn't realize that Sasquatch they don't just live in the mountains. They go a lot of places besides mountains. And we grabbed some rocks, and I was already throw it. We'll throw our rocks in that direction, and hopefully whatever it is, it'll get scared and run away, right? So we throw the rocks, and we don't hit it, and it just continues pacing back and forth, faster and faster. And I reached down again, and I looked for a good-sized rock, and I grabbed the rock, and even though it was dark outside, I closed my eyes and just listened to the footsteps in the gravel, and I threw the rock as hard as I could, and it made a zip sound, it went zip, and I hit it, and it screamed, ah! And we took off running back to my house, and my house, we have floodlights, so as we were running, it was pacing us, running on the left side of us, there's a bunch of mesquite bushes and stuff, and the closer we got to the house, the more I could start seeing, and of course, at the time, I weighed over 400 pounds, so my version of running isn't that fast at the time. And but I could see that it now was on all fours, running with us. It wasn't like trying to get me, but I could see it on the left running, and I was like, holy crap. And we ran up the back wooden deck, got up on that, and it tackled one side of the deck, like hit the 4x4s that hold it up, and it ran around to the other side while we're trying to fumble and open the sliding door to run inside the house, and it tackled the other side. And we finally got inside the house, closed the door, moved the curtains in the way, because they were scared the crap out of us. And that was the first time I ever got to experience a physical encounter with the Sasquatch. And that's what led me to start, investigating the area, looking for prints around my property, and start wondering, how did it get down here, and asking, people around the area if they ever had any, strange occurrences with any strange animals. They couldn't figure out what they were. And sure enough, people had reported these creatures, and the main thing was the majority of people thought they were seeing a werewolf, because they didn't know, they weren't thinking Bigfoot,
Yeah, I've heard of a lot of the Native American tribes won't even mention the skinwalker and stuff. They won't even speak of it.
Right. Yep. And I've I consider myself Native, and I've lived on many different reservations, and that, like you said, they don't even want to say that. And a lot of people don't really know what a skinwalker is. Right. And what it is, it's I guess you could say a witch doctor, a holy man that went bad, that's practicing black magic, or a woman that's practicing black magic. And, that's when they are doing that, that's why a lot of times people confuse skinwalkers with Bigfoots, because they're not thinking Bigfoots, and they think it's all just skinwalkers, and they think it's a giant wolf or werewolf, because Sasquatch, they can run on all fours. They're called they howl.
Yeah.
And when people aren't thinking Sasquatch, they're thinking werewolf, skinwalker. And I've dealt with skinwalkers before. I used to go out and hunt them on the res, and I've run into them, and it's a real thing. But yeah.
So now, are you Native American, or are you? I think you mentioned this in one of your videos. Your Mayan descent.
Yeah. I'm Mayan Indian. So, but I am mixed with a European. So, my European side is French.
Oh boy! So you're not Irish?
Right.
No Irish in there. You're saved. So, let's get into the first. You had a physical encounter with Bigfoot too, right?
Yes.
An actual face-to-face encounter, and that's the golden fleece of all Bigfoot encounters. Do you want to walk us through that?
Well, the first visual encounter, I had before that, them being 10 feet away from me, in bushes, where we were whistling back and forth to each other. There was 5 of them, and one of them said the word bush, because I was at one of their little tree structure. It looked like a little hut, and I was filming the first time I ever filmed a documentary or video on YouTube called Tully Creek Bigfoot, and I was describing the structure, and I said, this structure right here, and then you hear bush from behind me, and that was the first time I had a, I guess, audio encounter, through not actually getting to see it, but the first time I got to see one, which wasn't the last time, was with Robert Kreider and Kreider Exploration, and this was during the time when I was working with the anthropology department of the University of New Mexico, Gallup, and the genome study, when everybody was putting together the samples of DNA for Sasquatch, and we had decided to get together with Crypto Four Corners and that research group, and we all got together up in northern New Mexico to kind of camp out and film the submission of the DNA with the head of the anthropology department there. And so while we were there, I said, we're in an area where there's lots of Bigfoot. I go, why aren't we, doing a Bigfoot hunt? Why are we just sitting here around the fire, And they said, oh, well, we're not, really going to do that. We're just doing the submission. And I was like, well, I'll be right back. And I went out looking in the area, and Robert Kreider went with me. He went one way, and I went another. And while I was standing on this little bridge that went over a irrigation ditch for they had a lot of cattle in the area, I heard movement in the bushes right next to me, and I was like, well, I know local fauna. I know there's cougars, and there's badgers, and raccoons, and it could be anything, right? So I was like, what could I do that only a Sasquatch could do, or a human being, so I could figure out what it is, what animal is right there next to me, in these bushes hiding. It was like tall grass right on the edge of the water. On the opposite side of the water, that grass is, forest. So I made a tapping sound, tap, 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 looking directly at, where I heard the movement, and waited a second and did it again, tap, 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 because from up until that point, my research, there's a lot of reports of them mimicking people and voices and animal sounds. So I said, well, if it can mimic, then let's see if it can mimic that noise, right? So I did it, tap, 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 and sure enough, I heard tap, tap, tap back to me, and I was like, holy crap, it did it back, I was excited. And I did it again, tap, 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 and it did it right back at me, tap, tap, tap.
Huh.
And that's when Robert Kreider, he called me, he was down the way, he goes, Jesus, come over here, bro. He goes, I think this, this is where one was sitting. There's a little nest, and it was not. It was like 1:00 in the morning, 22 degrees, and it was a full moon. It was real bright, so it was even really cold because of that. And I called him over. I was like, "No, it's over here. Get over here, man." And he finally comes over. He's like, "What do you, bro? Come on." He didn't believe me. He thought I was just messing with him. And I did the tap, tap, tap thing, and it didn't do nothing back. Did it again. I was like, "Come on, don't do this to me now, bitch, but killing me." And finally, it tapped back. And Robert was like, "Oh, holy crap." And he jumped off the bridge and jumped into the grass where the sound came from and started trying to go after it. And you hear it get up, and you just hear it crashing, through the brush. And Robert, he goes, "Jesus, it was right here, man. I can feel it still warm, bro." And he was like, "I'm going to go after it." And I was like, "Okay, I'll head it off at the path." So I'll go around, the path that goes around the trees. So I went around, and now Robert, he's in the middle of this, thick brush and the trees, and I'm standing on the path, a dirt path in this area, and the moonlight is behind the trees, which you can see the tree silhouettes, for the branches and everything. And he goes, "Bro, can you see me?" And I'm looking, and I see this huge shadow, like an outline, a silhouette of a big old dude. And Robert Crider, he's not a big dude. He's maybe like, I don't know, $150, 150 pounds, 5'7", maybe 5'8". And I'm like, wow, the shadows are making you look huge. I was like, wow. He's all, "No, I'm down here." And I looked down, and sure enough, Robert was crouched down on one knee. And I was like, "Well, if you're right there, holy, dude, it's behind you, dude." It goes right there. He's like, "I know." And he ran toward, he bolted out of the bushes towards me. And the Bigfoot took off, continued down the way. And Robert took off running down the path. And I was a lot heavier at the time. So I kind of lumbered in the same direction. And Robert says, "Hold right here, hold perimeter, man. I'm going to go around the way and see if it comes out that way." And I was like, "Okay, dude," so I stopped, and I'm just standing there. And, I hear the brush, right next to me being moved around. And I'm just like, "Oh, crap." And I hear it walk like forward towards me through the bushes and the tree. And I'm like, huh. And I'm standing there. And like I said, at the time I was over 400 pounds. And mind you, this is all on video of this happening on Robert's channel, Crider Exploration on YouTube. And Robert's around the way filming, and I'm just standing there. And because I'm heavy, a lot of my jobs was, being security and a bouncer, so I stood a lot. But because of my weight, I would, take a step to the left or the right to adjust, because it hurt my feet to stand so long. So that's what I did. I stepped to the left, and the Bigfoot stepped to the left. I still couldn't see it. It was in the shadows, and the trees were so thick in that area, no moonlight was able to get through. And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I stepped to the right, and it stepped. Of course, it could be going to the left or the right. I couldn't see it at the time, but I could hear it. It was mimicking my steps. So I stepped to the left again, and it stepped again. I stepped to the right again. It stepped again. So I was having fun. I wasn't, scared or nothing. It was like this thing's trying to communicate with me and let me know that, it's communicating with me in some form or fashion. It's not trying to be intimidating. So, I did the step again, but this time it took 2 steps forward, right towards me. And that's when I was able to see it, because it came out of the shadows and was standing right there in front of me. I'd say at the minimum 5 feet, at the most 8 feet in front of me. Okay. And it was easily 7'4" or 5-ish. I'm 6'3", and it was way bigger than me. And I could see the moonlight shining off the cheekbones. It was that far enough out into the light that I could see that, that part of the face.
How far away is this?
And, excuse me?
How far away is this?
I would say, like I said, between 5 to 8 feet in front of me.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's right there. And I'm like, holy crap, And And that's when Robert said, "They're coming out! They're coming out!" Because there were several of them in that little thicket of trees. And he takes off running towards me, and he doesn't realize that I'm standing there looking at one. And he runs both past me, hits me on the shoulder, and goes, "Come on, dude, run! They're coming!" And he takes off down the path. And the Bigfoot and me, look at Robert running, and I look at the Bigfoot. He looks at me. And I kind of just shrugged my shoulders. I go, "I don't know." And I waved. I was like, "Okay, I'm going to go bye-bye." And I waved bye, and I started walking off, following Robert. And we got to the camp where J.C. Johnson, he's the one that originally invited me to be part of his research team and involving myself in the DNA project. We went back and told them what was going on, and they went back out. And on the video, you'll see on the Robert Kreider's channel, you get to see a Bigfoot, the eyes glow, come out from behind a post, and it throws a rock at Robert and hits him in the crotch. They didn't like him very much. And so that was the first time I got to see face-to-face a Sasquatch.
Now, do you think this thing was more human or ape? You always get the question, but did you say its face, or you said you saw like?
Well, the face, it's how can I explain it? It's only a mother could love that baby. I'll just say that, but physically, of course, it's covered in hair, but it stands like a man. The facial features are just exaggerated. So, heavier brow ridge, the cheekbones are, come out farther. The eyes are deep set. It has a hooded nose like us. It doesn't have the ape nostrils that normally you would see like on a great ape, like a gorilla or a chimpanzee. So I would say it's just looks like a really large, hairy Neanderthal looking being.
That's what I've heard. Most people, that's what they say. That the whole gorilla thing is, I don't know. I've heard people saying that it looks like closer to a Cherokee. Have you ever heard what's his name's account? Mike Woolley's account of his he's going hunting in Louisiana, and he gets chased out of the this hunting area by what he describes as like it looks like a Cherokee Indian, like Bigfoot. It's crazy, and he gets this artist to draw this picture of what he saw, and it takes an artist 3 months to get it right. And I don't know if you've ever seen the picture, but it's crazy. It's so human looking.
Well, I'm friend. I used to drum and sing. I do powwows, and I drum and sing with the Cherokee boys. So, excuse me, I would say it has a combination of American Indian, okay, mixed with Aboriginal, the Aboriginal from Australia. If you combine us two together, that's the look, So pretty much, if you shaved their face and their body, you would just see one big old Indian, or Native American, however you like to say it.
Now, let's go into Finding Bigfoot for a second. You were on Finding Bigfoot season 6 episode. I can't remember the episode. And who was the lady with you? Was she a fellow researcher?
You talking about Finding Bigfoot?
Yeah.
Okay, so the one that I was with was Renee. She was the biologist in the group of the team, and me and her went off on our own direction up in Farmington, and with Bobo, and then Cliff and Matt Moneymaker went off on their direction.
Now, how did you find their analysis on your findings? Did you think they were fair, or did you agree with them? Because they say that what you found was more like a kid's footprint or something. I beg to
when I was earlier, while I was up in Farmington, I had taken Brenda lady named Brenda, a Navajo woman, that, she wanted to meet me and talk about Bigfoot. And I took her out, showing her how to cast footprints, and I was showing her around, and we were walking through the San Juan River, and we found juvenile footprints, and we casted them, and so we turned those in to show them, to the Finding Bigfoot crew. And Cliff, to me, Cliff seems to be the most knowledgeable on the situation. Matt Moneymaker, he also, obviously, he's BFRO. He knows a lot about it, but he's a very, very intense, grumpy old guy. And I don't know, he's just tired of dealing with stuff. And so he seems not as open to stepping outside the box of just adult Bigfoots. When there's been so many reports of juveniles, and in that area, on that reservation where I lived, Upper Fruitland, it's really common. The Bigfoots there are really common. They're known. They cause a lot of trouble up there. They run up and down the cliff faces on the mesas because they grow corn at the top of them. So they run up there and steal corn. They still kill goats and sheep. The local farmers on the reservation. So it's like a real normal thing in the manner that it's not just legend. Like they're causing issues on the res, in a major way.
So
and that's why I filmed the Sasquatch there as well.
But what do you think of their hypothesis on your findings? Do you think that they were wrong, or
no? Cliff, he agreed. He said Cliff, he thinks that there was a juvenile footprint.
Right.
But he'd go either way with that. I think they were fair. I didn't have a problem with them. They were real cool. They were cool to be around, and I understand. Film and TV, and a lot of people give them crap because they're always looking for Bigfoot, but they never find him. But when you're doing a full production like they're doing, you've got a whole team of big trucks, lights everywhere. It's almost like a circus, you know what I mean? And when you got all the gear on, you look silly with these cameras, connected to you, and so you scare away the Bigfoots. They know you're coming. They get out the way. They hide. They don't want to show themselves.
Well,
so
plus Jesus, I think that they have to in the show they have to look like they're being kind of like skeptical. They have to.
Oh yeah.
But in that show, I thought that you were the fall guy. That they had to be skeptical about your findings, and so they picked you to be the one that they were skeptical about, where they believed everything else. And
right.
I think yours was, in that show anyway, that I watched, was probably the most credible, ironically enough. And I know that's the way that it goes, but, I thought that what you guys find was, man, like a bare naked footprint in the middle of a creek in, I don't know the geography, but man, it was like in the middle of nowhere, right? Or was this in a populated area?
Well, the way it is, they have like 40-acre tracts, okay? So the area where the San Juan River is, it's a big river. So the area we found the tracks where you literally had to walk through the river to get onto a sandbar in the middle of the river.
Right.
And that's where the tracks were. So if, little kids would not do, a 4-year-old, you don't let a 4-year-old, 5-year-old go into the major river and go play, barefooted on a sandbar. They'll get swept away, and if you are doing that and you're with the kid, then we're going to find footprints of an adult with them, but there was none. There was none there at all. It was all juvenile prints.
Yeah. Little kids.
Yeah. So, but that's why I was like, my hypothesis was that, you got to think on any of these situations, when you're on a hunt and you're looking for these things, you always got to ask yourself, okay, is there a possibility this is a human? Yes. There's a possibility it was a human. Second question you got to ask yourself is, why would a human do this? Does it make sense? And then you got to remember, a Bigfoot is a giant human, and they have children too. So, you got to think about that when you're out there doing this, because a lot of people are, oh man, a human could do that. A person could do that. But yeah, you're right. A person could do that if they really tried hard, and but that's where the researchers and the skeptics have such a problem, because the skeptics, they already don't want it to be real. They already are ready to say, nope, it's fake, it's CGI, or but that's fine. People have every right in the world to not believe in something. But when I've literally seen them in person, and we've dealt with their DNA, and I've dealt with so many reports, incredible reports from police officers, forest employees, and the list goes on and on. I have to give the benefit of the doubt to it being a possibility that it was a Sasquatch, in the situation. But, I am completely okay with people not believing it, especially if they're just doing, desktop researching, and they've never been out in the field, and they've never seen one, and they've never dealt with that or studied anthropology or the human anatomy or the foot morphology, you know what I mean? So there's all kinds of different factors that, weigh in when people are just saying, no, it's not real,
So, yeah, exactly. And both of us aren't here to try to, quell the skeptics. There's no point. If they're not interested, they're not interested. So there's no point even trying to, at this point in the podcast, it's what we're 30 minutes in, and, we're talking to the people that believe now. Now, I want to talk about your tent experience. That was a really good one. That was how you morphed that face together and stuff. That was pretty cool how you did that. So do you want to talk about that, your tent experience?
Oh, sure. The tent. Yeah, that's definitely something I would like to talk about. So what the story was that I ran into this youngster, which I consider a youngster 20 years younger than me. And he didn't believe in Sasquatch. And he's what we call a good old boy, he's a country cowboy type of guy from this area. And he told me that he's traveled up and down these mountains hunting for antlers, elk and deer. And he's been up and down those mountains. He's never seen no Bigfoot. He's never seen any evidence of Bigfoot. He don't believe in the Bigfoot. So I told him, well, one of these days, come with me up to the mountains, and if I can show you some things that I believe are Bigfoot related, and you can't explain how they were done by a human, will you give me the benefit of the doubt that Bigfoot might be a reality? He was like, sure, no problem, right? So we took him up there, and I took him to an area I know where the Bigfoot are, and they have all kinds of tree structures. And it's also where I did that video on the dismembered Bigfoot body, and you see the young man sitting on one of the tree structures. Right. That's the guy.
Is that the one with the hands hanging down from the branch or something, with the skeleton hand?
Yes, that's the one. So that same day, I did some tree knock, and I got responses. They tree knocked back, and he was like, "Oh, whoa," And also that day, I got a picture of two baby Bigfoots up in the tree. Okay, so I didn't realize they were there. He didn't know they were right above him, but we got the picture later. After I looked at it. So after I showed him those tree structures, and he couldn't explain how they were done and how a human could even lift that much weight, and the tree knocking and all that stuff, he was like, "Man," he was like, let's camp out tonight. I got my tent in the vehicle, And I was like, "You sure you want to camp out here? You understand that this is a giant, big old scary ape?" I go, "They can hurt us if they want to." He's like, "Yeah, let's do it. Let's camp out." I was like, "Okay, I don't mind. You know what I mean? That's my cup of tea right there, And so we set up the tent, and we're sitting in the tent, hanging out, and nighttime comes. It gets later and later and later, and at some point in the night, we hear something walk up to the tent.
So, sorry, how many of you guys are there?
Just me and one other person.
That's
all.
Down in Oklahoma. It's not enough people.
Yep. And I call him Old Kenny because like I said, I haven't seen him since that night or that morning. Really, we never talked again. And I don't have permission to give out his name, so I just call him Kenny right now.
Okay.
for sorry to the encounter. So we're in the tent, and we hear footsteps, come up to the tent, and something sniffs at the tent, starting from the bottom on his side of the tent from behind him. You hear but that sniffing sound goes all the way to the top of the tent. If it was a bear, it would just stay in that 5-foot range, of sniffing. But it went all the way to the top of the tent, the sniffing. And he was like, his eyes were got really large. And then we could see a hand, a big giant hand, softly pressing on the tent while it was sniffing at the top.
Which we have pictures of that too.
Yes. So we're sitting there, and it's a really cold night. I had to duct tape the vent hood on the top of the tent closed so we could keep some heat in there. But it was so cold that the duct tape just stopped working, and it was, just came undone.
Right.
And we're sitting there, and all of a sudden, a big giant arm shoves underneath the tent on Kenny's side, and literally kind of knocks him over because he was sitting down. It pushed him over, and I yelled at the Bigfoot, and I said, "No, bad Bigfoot."
Hold on. So
yeah,
an arm came in. What did it look like?
Well, it didn't come inside the tent. It went underneath the tent from outside.
Oh, okay, yeah. So you had a bottom on the tent. It was a tent with a like a base on it.
Yes. So it was a big old arm because, like I said, I could see the actual shape. We had light inside the tent, and I yelled, "Bad Bigfoot, no!" and pulled his arm right back out. And Kenny looked at me and he goes, "Did you just scold the Bigfoot?" I was like, "Well, what else am I going to say, dude? It knocked you over, man." And we're sitting there, and he's freaking out. It's starting to freak out now, because the reality of it just hit him. This is real. And he's sitting there, and you hear the top of the tent, it's touching the tent on the top. And he's looking up at the vent, at the screen, and he's just staring up, and he goes, "Oh my God," he goes, "I can see it. It's looking in at us. I can see it. I can see its nose. I can see its nose." He just kept on repeating, "I can see its nose." And I was videoing, was up at the tent. I had my flashlight, but on my angle, I couldn't see nothing because of the flashlight. And yeah, I was just filming, for 3 minutes, and he was freaking out, starting to really freak out. I could see that he was, getting upset. And I put down the camera, and I was like, "All right, no more. Go. It's time to go. Stop it. You're scaring him." I said, and they backed up, but they didn't leave. So until about 4:00 in the morning, there was several of them walking around the tent and stuff, and I was just talking to them, and he was just looking at me confused, how are you not freaking out, and why are you talking to them like people, And I didn't want them to feel that we were in any way going to harm them. I told them we ain't got no guns, no knives. We're not here to hurt you.
You didn't have guns?
No, I never take a gun.
Okay.
And just there's an oryx. Do you know what an oryx is?
Oryx?
Yes, it's an animal. It's like a giant antelope.
Maybe. I don't know.
Okay, well, in Africa, they have these giant antelopes called oryxes. They have really long, straight horns, okay? Well, because they were on the endangered species list, they brought them out here to New Mexico to White Sands National Monument to rebreed them. And one thing that we found out is because when they get overpopulated here, they do a lottery, and you can hunt. If you win the lottery, you can shoot one, to bring down the numbers. But what we found out was that you have to use a high caliber weapon to kill it, because you can shoot one of those with a 38, and the bullet can't penetrate its hide. Okay,
Right.
so if people understand that, like, a chimpanzee obviously can kill us easily, and have killed people, in the past. When a chimpanzee's pissed off, it can throw a 500-pound weight. When a gorilla is pissed off, it can throw a 1,500-pound weight. And a gorilla and, like the Billy chimps, they, grow up to 6 feet tall, and a Bigfoot can grow up twice that size. So when you're dealing with a great ape, or, whatever you want to call him, and it's 9 feet, 10 feet tall, you better be ready with a 50 caliber gun, or handgun, or just a really big ass gun, and be a good shot, because you're going to get killed. They can kill you, easily. It's not hard for them. They're so strong. It's to me, it's like going into a lion's den and taking a slingshot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So knowing that they're smart, they're not dumb. They know what weapons are. They know what guns are. It would just agitate them. It would make them not trust you. It'll make them mad and be in a defense mode, which I don't want to be around them when they're in defense mode. I'd rather them be calm, at ease, know that I'm not there in any way that could hurt them or one of their family members.
So well, let's get into the whole face thing, because you have a really good picture of the face coming through the tent.
Uh-huh.
Was that coming through the tent, or was that an impression in the tent, or was it actually in the, you know what I mean, coming through the actual opening?
Well, this is the thing. So imagine yourself inside a tent, okay? And at the very top, when you look straight up, there's like a mesh screen, okay, which allows air to ventilate.
Right.
So they pulled off the top hood that goes over the tent, so it was just the bare screen with the part that they pulled back. So they're looking down inside the tent, but their faces stopping where the screen is. So when I got home and started reviewing the video, I had an old PC monitor. In the old PC monitors, if you just turn it a little bit, it would the screen gets fuzzy, or you would see it's like adding contrast. If you don't you don't have the screen angled right on the old PCs. So I was doing that because at the time, I didn't have any editing software to do stuff like that. And I noticed when I turned the screen a little bit, I could see a face because the bare the raw footage and the screenshots I took, you could barely make out anything. But when you added contrast, you could see the face. And excuse me. So that's what I did. I got those screenshots where I tilted the angle of the PC screen, and I was able to see the faces. And from there, now later, much later, when we have the better editing software and apps on our phones, I was able to bring out all the details of what was looking through the tent from above.
Yeah, I saw that, and the face was like, I don't know, very, very human looking.
Oh yeah, well, that's the thing. There's two of them looking in, Bigfoots, and they look very different. They're not like how even though chimps, they are very similar, but they're different in color. Some have bigger ears. Bigfoots are different. They're like humans. Some Bigfoots have big noses. Some Bigfoots have little noses. Some Bigfoots have their snout, I guess, or their mouth. Some protrude way more than others. Some have big lips. Some have little lips. Some have tiny ears. Some have big old goofy ears. So the two that were looking in, to me, looked very different. Like they weren't brother and sister, or brother and brother. The one was smiling. That's the one I made the full face image. The other one was making faces at Kenny, opening its mouth, closing its mouth, and yeah, it was just messing with them. You know, they were getting, to me, they were enjoying themselves, getting a kick out of freaking them out.
So Kenny was totally freaked out, and he never went back there again. He was like,
oh yeah, he was done. And when the sunlight came out finally in the morning, he told me, he was, you can have my tent. He was, I'm never going camping again. I'm not coming up to these mountains ever again. And I never heard from him since.
now, you have friends that you go with, or do you have to go solo camping?
Say that again? I'm sorry.
Do you have friends that you like research with, or do you just go by yourself? Well, you have your cousin, right?
Oh, that's my nephew, Andrew, AJ.
Yeah.
So once every few years, he comes down from Florida to visit family, and I'll bring him with me. You know, we'll do a day hunt. But any other hunts I do are normally solo, unless I've been invited by a research crew or different, you know, other Bigfoot hunters. I'll travel, you know, to other states or, you know, parts of New Mexico, but I normally do it by myself.
So now New Mexico isn't like New England or the Pacific Northwest. It's not like there's not a lot of forest, or am I mistaken in that? Because it seems like it's mostly high desert and stuff. And
well, we do have a lot of forests, actually. Like here, the Sacramento Mountains, you know, we have a national forest here. There's a forest in Albuquerque. There's a forest by Santa Fe. Then you travel up north towards Colorado, and we have mountain ranges there. But it's a little of both. There's more desert than forest areas, but we do have forests, you know?
So, what other encounters have you had?
Excuse me?
What other encounters have you had?
Okay, so another encounters that I've had would be more when I was up in Farmington. I was living on the res, and I'd go out, you know, hunting in the daytime and at night. And while we were out one day, I've got pictures of that one. That's the one where I said it was throwing the bird at us, you know, flicking off, you know, the middle finger.
Yeah.
And we're out there, and it was hiding in some trees and some bush. Well, they're trees, but they're bushes at the same time. So they're like half and half, kind of, not huge trees, but they're more than bushes. So like I said, out there on the res, that was a normal thing. They'd come over to the house and, you know, run around, throw rocks, tap on the windows and stuff like that. And then one day I gave a couple a ride to Walmart for groceries. And on the way back, the gentleman's wife, she was like, look, there's a Bigfoot right there. And I pulled over on the highway on the reservation. And sure enough, right when she said that, I pulled over, there was a Sasquatch just in the middle of the daytime, you know, good distance from us, but it was huge. It was so big, it was easily seen from, you know, our vantage point, walking across a field down by the edge of the San Juan River, you know, forest area where there's a bunch of trees. And that one I filmed, and I have that on my channel, the footage from that. And all the other experiences are more just being in forests and them running around, not coming straight up to me, but breaking big branches, pushing trees over. It's kind of a constant thing. If you know where to look and you know what to do, I've had lots of experiences. It's a trip.
Now, the video you're talking about is the one where you're kind of up on a hill and you look down into the pasture and you can see one walking around, right? Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I saw that one. And yeah, if you're actually, you know, educated about these things and you're thinking about them and you're looking for the signs, you're more likely to see something. It's...
Well, exactly. Well, it's like if you ever buy a car and you say you bought a Cadillac, right? A white Cadillac. All of a sudden, you start noticing all the other white Cadillacs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're out looking for a specific type of rock or a specific type of bird, you're going to start noticing it before you never even noticed. Or if you're a UFO hunter, you know, if you never really looked up and looked for these things, you'll never see one. But when you know what to search for, if you're an actual, you know, tracker, and you know how to read the signs, it becomes way more common to find what you're looking for if you know what you're doing. Now, there's people that have been looking for Bigfoots for a long time, but they, you know, the ones that aren't finding them are the ones that are going out there with preconceptions on what it is. If you think of it as just a monkey, and you don't think they have, you know, human feet, or you don't think they're doing these tree structures, then you're killing your own chances of going in the right direction. You're just wandering around aimlessly then, really, if you don't, you know what you're doing. And yeah, you don't see them, you know?
Yeah, it's well, you're in New Mexico, and your backyard opens up, and I've seen you record in your backyard.
Yep.
And I mean, are you in the middle of? You're in the middle of like a really open space where you have a lot of opportunities to actually look for these things.
Yeah, well, see, the way it works out here is that we have all the way from the mountains these canals, you know, and waterways, you know, streams and creeks and stuff that are, I'd say, in some areas 50 feet down the normal level of the terrain and roads. So the Sasquatch travel back and forth from the mountains to the desert area, because down at the bottom over here, there's lots of farms and lots of pecan orchards. And so pretty much it's like a health, nature, food store for them. They come down here and hunt and gather during the night, and sometimes during the day if they have a good cover in certain areas, like the Tule Creek, where I do the research, where I have them whistling back and forth to me and stuff. Yeah, so it's, you know, it's amazing where they're willing to travel and how far they can travel, and how, you know, and it's not an issue to them traveling that far. You know, there's been Bigfoot reports. This one's a really, really controversial, I guess you'd call it, theory, but the Bigfoots have been coming into the cities. Like in Las Vegas, Nevada, you have waterways and sewers that, you know, a lot of homeless people live in underneath the city. And some of the people, you know, I didn't tell them about Bigfoot, and they're talking about, you know, what it's like to live under the city in the sewers. And they talk about that at nighttime they'll see Bigfoots walking through these sewers, and they describe them huge. They smell horrible, but they don't bother them. They don't bother each other. They just walk past, and they continue to the other side of the city to get to the other side of the desert and continue on their way. So these creatures they're very versatile. They can survive in many different habitats, you might say.
What do you think these creatures are? I mean, are you a biblical kind of person, or are you like ape person?
Well, I think they're a type of human. Okay.
Yeah, me too.
I don't think they're just big old monkeys. If we want to go real deep in, you know, what exactly or where they came from, I think they were the first versions of humans that were created, and we were the next version that was made. We're smaller, more delicate, easier to tell what to do, but we're smart enough and capable to still, you know, operate machinery, do, you know, a lot of work. So like in the ancient Sumerian text, talk about race of beings that's described looking, you know, and being just like them. At one point, those beings, creatures, revolted. They kind of like went on strike and pissed off their creators, and they were banished to the depths of the forest around the world to never mingle amongst man, never again. And sure enough, today we're finding these giant hairy creatures in the depths of the forest around the world that don't like being around humans.
Huh. Yeah, that's. Do you ever do you actually do expeditions? Do you take people out and go look for these things? Because I would love to actually go down to New Mexico and I've been down to Oklahoma with Dave from Bigfoot and More. He's he takes people. Well, he doesn't take people out. He goes out himself. But I accompanied him. But I would love to go down to New Mexico and accompany you on one of these expeditions if you do that kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't do it like all the time, and there's people like researchers out there that'll charge people to go on expeditions and stuff like that. I've never done that, but people that are serious about wanting to know more about them or experience, learn how to track them. I'm more than happy to. As long as they're serious and they're not doing stupid things and trying to agitate them or stuff like that. Yeah, that's perfectly cool with me.
Yeah, I'd love to. I love that part of the country too. I'm like very fascinated with the whole desert thing. That's fascinating to me, and I love watching your videos. And anybody wants to see your videos, it's Breaking Bigfoot, and you got some good stuff on there. And
thank you, brother.
Yeah, it's interesting. The way you present it is, kind of like, I love how you do your, you don't just present pareidolia. You will actually, highlight it and like, present it in a way that people can actually see what the hell you're talking about, which is rare in this field.
Like for me, I'm trying to share, like I said, my research and my findings with a lot of people. And to me, it's, there's a lot of, like you said, researchers out there that they show blurry stuff and you can't really tell what it is, even though it might be real in what they're, they got there. But if I'm trying to show the reality of Sasquatch, then I need to share actual things you can see, and the whole thing with me enhancing, before I was doing, the enhancements with the Bigfoot stuff, I would enhance images of UFOs and bring out, that kind of stuff for a lot of researchers, just because I enjoyed doing it. And I used to also, for, like people that used to, or, did shoplifting or crime and stuff, I was able to enhance the security footage for law enforcement and whatnot. So that's why I started learning how to do that. And as the software got better and better, and just doing it over and over, when I started doing the Bigfoot stuff, it just came natural on enhancing, because like some of the apps that I use, the programs themselves, it doesn't know what it's enhancing. You know what I mean? It's just a program that is grabbing the light section, darker section, sharpening it, and if something's there, it'll bring it out. So I try not to present anything that's way too not structural in physicality, that you can't see what it is. To me, that's a waste of time for what I'm trying to do. I am not hating at all on the others out there that do show blurry pictures or what they call blob squatches or whatever. Nothing's wrong with that at all. It's evidence. But the people out there that don't know about Bigfoot, they don't understand how they're able to blend in with their surroundings. They don't understand their morphology, the way their hair works, the possibility of them being able to cloak, or their hair absorbing the colors and light around them, so they blend in really well, like the Predator, from the movie Predator.
Yeah.
So for me, I want to show the most visual images that I can get and that I have, because I still have more I haven't shown yet that I'm going to be making future videos, and it's wild, man. I have one that you can clearly see its face and eyes and mouth, nose, and it looks like it's waving at me, you know. And the majority of the photos that I have, besides the tent one and the one walking across the field, I don't see them. I know they're around me. I hear them making noises and stuff, but I take a ton of pictures. And when I get home, I can zoom in, you know, because a lot of the time they're a good distance away, hiding, just peeking, you know, on the side of a tree or through, you know, the foliage. That's when I find them, and I'm like, oh, that's where he was, you know, a little bugger, and I'm able to zoom in and enhance what's there.
Well, you do a very good job, and sometimes I'm like, you're showing a picture, and I'm like, where is it? And then right after that, you'll enhance it and outline it, and you do a really good job. I appreciate that.
Thank you. I try to show the process, too, because, you know, it's one thing to just be like, bam, here's the end product, which a lot of times it's unbelievable. And you're like, that you just drew that crap on there, you made it up. But I try to show the before and then showing the process of it to where I end up with, and show how I get there. So people don't think I'm just adding stuff and drawing faces and, you know, things like that.
Like the one where you did where the Bigfoot head was peeking up and down. That was really, really good. Anybody wants to look at that. You were in a section where you could see a black figure, and then it wasn't there, and then it was there again. And you clearly showed that process, and that was fantastic the way you did that. I loved that.
Thank you.
That was
I try hard.
And you actually didn't realize that until afterwards, right? That was something in hindsight.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a good one. Hey,
Thank
Jesus,
you,
I really appreciate you coming on. I'm gonna have to split here.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed our time.
No, it was awesome. And like I said, I'll have your whole intro at the start of the show, because it was probably about 15 minutes long, because we wanted to talk about Bigfoot, not your acting accomplishments and stuff like that, which is equally important or more important.
Thank you, brother.
Anyway, well, thanks for coming on, Jesus.
Well, like I said, anytime, just let me know, and I will be more than happy to come back on.
All right. Thank you, man.
You have a great night, brother.
See ya.